This presentation is a summary of Chapter 7 from the book Leonard to the Internet. Chapter 7 is titled The Means of Destruction and focuses on the technological advances from 1936 to 1990. During the 20th century, there was no stronger influence on technology than the military. The title for the chapter describes the development goals of many countries, including the United States, the Soviet Union, France, England, China, and Germany. World War II and the Cold War forced these countries to work with large companies, government institutes, and universities to develop military-related technology such as nuclear weapons, communicative devices, and digital computing technology. With the European war on their mind in 1939, Albert Einstein and an active physicist working in atomic research sat down to write this letter here to the President Franklin Roosevelt, outlining the possibilities and political dangers of atomic research. And then the idea was presented, or the idea and information was presented to President Roosevelt, and he decided to back an atomic bomb project and gave a large budget and also a stamp of top secret. The project later became known as the Manhattan Project and took shape in the months after June 1942. The Manhattan Project had a budget of $400 million for two huge factories. One was a uranium separation factory, the Oak Ridge Uranium Factory, and then one factory was designated to create plutonium, and that was the Hanford Works Plutonium Factory in Washington. The section of the chapter was called Turning the Country into a Factory, mostly due to the work that was put into the development of these different factories and the amount of work it took to build and then also develop the different atomic bombs you see here. The Oak Ridge Uranium Factory developed Little Boy, which was deployed on August 6, 1945 in Hiroshima, and then Fat Man, which was developed at the Hanford Works Plutonium Factory and was deployed on August 9, 1945 in Nagasaki. The United States was not the only country working on this short clip is about the atomic bomb Little Boy.
One of Japan's arsenal cities was selected as the first to feel the weight of atomic power. 21 days after the New Mexico dress rehearsal, a lone B-29 was over Hiroshima carrying an atomic bomb. At 8:15 in the morning of August 6, Japanese time, the first atomic bomb hit an enemy target. The bomb was aimed to explode above 0 point, a spot in the city at the junction of the Motoiso and Oto rivers. The bomb was intentionally set to explode well above the 0 point to dissipate its radioactivity. Here is the pictorial record of the result. At 0 point, directly beneath the explosion.
In addition to the development of nuclear weapons, the military also had strong influences on the development of computer chips, the transistor, and digital computing. Another important development was the development of the transistor. This is a short clip that discusses the history of the transistor.
Transistors are a crucial part of modern-day computers. They're found in the hundreds of millions in a typical computer chip, but they are nothing new. In fact, they've been around for 60 years. Transistors were first invented in 1947 by John Barty, William Shockley, and Walter Brattain. Their transistor was made from razor blades and paper clips and looked like this. But eventually they were improved and reduced in size to something like this. Transistors hailed the second generation of computers. The transistor replaced vacuum tubes, which consumed power, created heat, and burned out rapidly, requiring high maintenance. By replacing expensive and bulky vacuum tubes with transistors, computers could carry out the same functions, consuming less power and space. For the invention of the transistor, John Barty, William Shockley, and Walter Brattain won the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1956. The first fully transistorized computer was the Tradic, developed in 1954 for the US Air Force. It used 750 transistors, was 3 cubic feet in size, and operated at 1 megahertz.
Now it's time to look at what came about that was good from this era, the means of destruction. The first thing that was good was many competitors and great thinkers of their time came together for the good of the country such as Boeing, General Dynamics, MIT, IBM, Lockheed, and Raytheon. A high-frequency radar is also being worked on by the British and the Americans together, with the project employing 1 in 5 of the country's top physicists and top contractors such as Bell Laboratories, Westinghouse, General Electric, Sylvania, and DuPont, and also researchers at the University of Pennsylvania and Purdue University. Many jobs were also created because of the demand to create so many weapons, and buildings were also built because these weapons needed a place to be stored. 200,000 people worked at the factories for the atomic bomb, with the factories being in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, and Hanover, Washington, which is 8 times larger than Oak Ridge, and these factories were top secret. At Oak Ridge alone, 20,000 construction workers built the atomic racetrack and the Calutrons, and after all the necessary supporting infrastructure, 268 buildings were completed. The final aspect that was good is many great technological advances were done to help pave the way for future inventions. One of those was digital computing, which helped create code breaking, artillery range finding, nuclear weapon designing, aircraft and missile controlling, and anti-missile warning. And also by early 1955, Navy created their first nuclear submarine, Nautilus, and I just have a quick video here to show you. I was just going to talk about the Nautilus and what it all incorporated.
Now the Nautilus is ready for her first sea trial. This ship is about 300 feet long, the same length as a football playing field. Because her nuclear reactor does not require oxygen for its operation, as does a combustion engine, the Nautilus is able to operate at top efficiency for long periods while submerged. As the atomic power is applied, the commanding officer sends a truly historic message. It reads, "Underway on nuclear power."
While often portrayed as a positive, there are negative sides of the military driving technology as well. One of those negative sides is that the military dictates production to companies. Here's a short animation to show an example of that.
We have invented a cool new invention, transistors. That's great. We will be able to make better weapons with that new technology. But we were hoping to update our telephone system. We gave you lots of money to develop that technology, and now you'll do with it what we tell you.
So you see, one negative side of this is that the military controlled how the new technology was used once it was developed. Another bad side of this is lots of waste. The military threw lots of money at many projects that never really took off. Some of those examples are a project to drill through the Earth's crust, nuclear-powered aircraft, atomic explosions to create harbors and dams, and one of their most famous big spending flops was the Strategic Defense Initiative. All told, $35 billion spent with nothing productive to show for it. It kind of makes your head spin. A final negative side of the military's involvement in industry is that, as Dwight Eisenhower puts, the military-industrial complex gains too much power. I'll let him explain.
On at least one occasion, Eisenhower was heard to say by those in the room, "God help this country," when somebody sits at this desk who doesn't know as much about the military as I do.
My fellow Americans, this evening I come to you with a message of leave-taking and farewell, and to share a few final thoughts with you, my countrymen. We have been compelled to create a permanent armaments industry of vast proportions. 3.5 million men and women are directly engaged in the defense establishment. The total influence, economic, political, even spiritual, is felt in every city, every state house, every office of the federal government. We recognize the imperative need for this development, yet we must not fail to comprehend its grave implications. the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes.
So in conclusion, in Chapter 7, the author points out that during this period of time, from 1936 to 1991, the military played a huge role in the development of technology, probably more so than in any other period. While there were many positives, there also were many negatives of this relationship.